Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first online improv session. I hope you're making the transition into all of this craziness smoothly, and hopefully, these videoed mini lectures can help smooth out everything even further for you. For this part of the lecture, I recommend participating along with your microphone muted so that there isn't any lag or distortion with your classmates also watching the lecture. Teachers, if you're sharing your computer audio, you can also mute your microphones while keeping your computer audio running if you want to jump in as well. These will just be a few simple warm-ups to get our brains running again. I want to start by revisiting one of our chord progressions from before. 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. You'll see the through lines here for all of the upper voices and the bass line. We'll do this in C major. Go ahead and warm up in the key on your own now. Excellent. Now, pick one of the upper voices and sing through with it along with the track. Ready? And. Excellent. So what if we were to change all of these chords except for the tonic into seventh chords? So you'll notice some new through lines here. I've bolded the sevenths of the chord for you so you can quickly spot them. So some of these chords are missing the fifth, and that's actually to preserve voice leading across the board. So pick a through line that has a seventh, and let's sing through this one. Ready? And. All right, this isn't the only option that we have for voicing this progression. We could also voice it this way here. You'll notice that different chords are incomplete, while others have the fifth added back in, and the sevenths are in a different voice now. So pick a different through line, and let's sing through this one. Ready? And. Excellent. Thank you all. So, you are probably noticing that the sevenths of the chords need to be handled with a certain care. And that's because the seventh of any chord is a tendency tone all its own. So we'll need to keep some voice leading principles in mind here. The first and foremost thing to keep in mind is that the seventh of a chord always resolves down by step. I'll say it again. The seventh of a chord always resolves down by step. Say it together with me. The seventh of a chord always resolves down by step. This holds true even for the melodies you improvise. So you need to be mindful of when you're playing the seventh of a harmony underneath you so that you can treat that note correctly. You'll notice some other things I've outlined specifically for when you're handling the seventh chords in keyboard accompaniments. So since not all of us have access to a piano for the rest of the semester, I'm not going to ask you to prepare any accompaniments as usual, but they're good to practice on your own time if and when you can. I'll post a PDF of this on Blackboard so that you can reference it on your own later. So for our next topic, we're actually going to be looking at incorporating some phrase structure into our improvisations. We've been kind of used to making things up as we go along because, well, that's what improv is, right? Well, we can make things up while still having a sense of phrase structure. Dr. Crouch has likely shown you a chart from the Lates book that looks something like this. If he hasn't, then to explain, this is just an explanation of different phrase models that cadence differently and have different qualities of phrases and such. We're going to be paying particular attention to this one here, the interrupted period. This will be an 8-measure excerpt with the first 4-bar phrase ending on a half cadence and the second 4-bar phrase ending on an authentic cadence. Parallel periods are where the first and second phrases emulate each other, so an A followed by an A prime. Contrasting periods are where the first and second phrases are unrelated, so an A phrase followed by a B phrase. I've written out an example of a chord progression under an interrupted period here. 8 measures in 3/4 F major. Now, we don't know yet whether this is parallel or contrasting because there's no melody yet. So that part is up to you. If you're asked to play a parallel period, then you need to remember what you played for the A theme and repeat it to the extent you can. Like so. So you can hear how in that example, measures 1 and 2 were almost identical to measures 5 and 6, even though they ended differently to accommodate the different type of cadence. Now, here's an example of a contrasting period to compare. So in that one, the second phrase was deliberately different from the first one. I even tried to make it characteristically different to draw attention to it. So an easy way to do this is to deliberately play one of the phrases more lyrically than the other. This accompaniment is available on Blackboard as a background track, and you'll be asked to improvise over it. This likely isn't something you can all participate in together at the same time thanks to internet lag, but I encourage you all to try improvising for each other and to pay attention to what your classmates are doing. You may be able to offer some insight or learn some new tips and tricks from your peers. So thank you all so much. I hope this lesson makes sense for you, and happy practicing.